NASCAR superstar, three-time Daytona 500 champ, Denny Hamlin. Denny, happy to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for making the time. We know you're a busy man on top of your day job as a pro driver, father of two. Now you're business partners with Michael Jordan, the mastermind behind 2311. How have you been able to manage that workload?
Just trying to set aside certain times and days for each project. Typically my Sundays and Mondays are designated to the 11 car. Tuesday, Wednesday is usually the 23. And then it's a little bit of mix of both on Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday I shift back to the 11. So it just kind of depends on the day, but ultimately there's always some issues that arise on the ownership side where they need a question answered that you need to say yes or no to. But again, I just try to make sure that I give the same focus that I've had to the 11 car, you know, for all of my career. I'm doing those things the same. The 23 just has to fit in between all those cracks.
Denny, obviously, when you, Bubba, and MJ came together and brought this whole thing together, it broke the internet. Incredible news, changed NASCAR. Walk me to the beginning of it. How did that thing all start?
Gosh, it's a long, long story, but the long and the short of it was, I just feel like, there was some speculation going on about, myself purchasing a stake in another race team. That didn't really seem like the best option for me. And, so there were some speculative news articles that were coming out, and his name was thrown in there. And of course, none of that was true, but I just sent him a message saying, looks like we're business partners, LOL. And he was like, well, that's not true, but if you want to make it true, let me know. So, his interest was, hey, are you going to be a team owner or not? If you are, then I would like to partner with you. So I says, well, I'm not, but I would like to be, and, maybe we can make it happen. So he obviously was a big part of that coming true, and it happened very, very quickly. But again, we're learning it together. We're going to grow it together. This is not a 1-year play or 2-year play or 5-year play. We're looking to build this thing into something big over time, and we'll see how it all plays out.
So you slid into Michael Jordan's DMs is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Just a casual slide. Hey, buddy, you want to be an owner with me?
Right. Yeah. I never forget, where I was and what I was doing. I was actually on the 9th hole at a golf course, and I'd left my ball sitting in the middle of the fairway. I drove up to the green because I was on the phone, and absolutely, I just forgot to hit my ball. I was so excited with the conversation that was going on.
And you're a big basketball guy, right? You grew up loving Jordan, so this must have been extra surreal for you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've had a relationship with the Jordan brand for 12 years now. It really started from a conversation that I had with Michael at a Hornets game, 12 years ago. And, he's a huge race fan, and obviously very intense when it comes to the competition side of things. So, I started being a fan of the NBA, way back in the day, but I never really went to games until, 2008 or 9. And, since then, I love the sport, love going to the games. They're very, very exciting to watch in person. And so it's been a lot of fun to enjoy that sport and see how it all plays out.
Being in business together, I'd imagine you guys don't always see eye to eye on everything. How has that business relationship been thus far?
Well, it's been good. A lot of it is, they trust myself on the competition side, figuring out what we need to go fast, using me to, be the liaison between JGR and the team itself. So I think that's all been good. We've shared the same visions. We haven't had any yes, no votes when it comes to, certain things that we have to get or certain visions that we have as a team. So that's been pretty easy so far. But again, we're so early into this. We're still in the growing stages.
I grew up loving MJ. I can't even imagine what it's like to have a personal relationship with him. Do you ever find yourself geeking out? I mean, obviously there's the business aspect. Do you ever take a step back and think, Michael Jordan is my friend and business partner. I get to play golf with him. I get to do stuff that people would only dream of with Michael Jordan.
I've known him so long now that it doesn't. In the beginning, yes, but not now. Again, he's just a guy that I have a business relationship with and friendship with. It is certainly surreal when you think about all how big of a fandom he is of the sport and really of myself. He's showed up to multiple championship races that I've had an opportunity to win, and he did it just out of good faith and friendship. So I think that it's awesome that, you know, you have someone that's arguably the greatest of all time in any sport being able to support you and having that close relationship with them. So yeah, I mean, there's the times that I step back that you look at it and say, you know, it's pretty amazing how everything's worked out.
We always hear the competitive stories of MJ. There's probably no more legendary a competitor than Jordan. When you play golf with him, like there was a story that just went viral. I think he was playing spades with Antoine Walker or dice, I forget, and they were down 900,000 and he canceled his comeback press conference. I mean, that stuff is only Michael Jordan can get away with that. What are some experiences you've had with him, whether it's on the golf course or anywhere else, where you've gotten to see the MJ intensity?
I mean, I mostly see it on the golf course because that's where, you know, that's the only time I see him in a competitive environment now. But I mean, the guy's just ruthless. I mean, he has no pressure. Obviously, we know that he doesn't feel much pressure, but I mean, yeah, he'll make a 30-foot putt on you that you think you're counting your money winning that hole, and he'll make something that's just incredible to keep himself alive. So that's really the competitive nature that I see from him. Other than that, it's just all business, and you know, that's really the shift I've seen in him over the last 6 months is talking business with him versus just, hey, when are we going to go play golf?
I remember you said you played a 36 hole round with him in like 3 hours or something. Is that true?
Well, 310 per 18. That typically is his normal day. Is he'll start at 9, and he'll start his second round by 1:00 and be done at 4:30. So he gets in 36 most days. You know, he handles all of his phone calls and stuff like that early in the morning with his team, and then he goes off to the golf course. So yeah, he's got a good speed when it comes to golf. He doesn't mess around. His golf carts at the course are like run about 35, 40 miles an hour. So yeah, you can get done around pretty quick with him.
I want to talk to you about the Daytona 500. That's your race. What is it about that race that there's a reason that you keep winning?
Well, we've had great success there. I think I've been very fortunate to miss a lot of the wrecks that have happened, especially the big ones that take out, you know, the bulk of the cars. You know, I don't know what it is. I think that I do understand, you know, probabilities. I think I understand, you know, odds of, okay, if you're in 6th position, you're most likely to get caught in a wreck. So 6th through 14th is just the hotbed area of trouble. Making sure I'm not in those positions. You know, can I lay to the back until we go through a pit sequence, then try to be good on pit road to get myself ahead of that 6th position, to not put myself in that hornet's nest. So sometimes you have to drive through there and you hope to get lucky that the wreck doesn't happen during that time. But I think I just have a feel for when things are getting anxious, and I get out of it, or I get in front of it before it happens. So I think, you know, there's odds are that we could wreck out of the next 6th, and we still, you know, the odds would still be in our favor because, you know, we've been on such a run for the last, I think, 8 years now in that race. So, you know, it's fortune, it's lucky, and it's also just, you know, I think being smart and trusting your instincts.
We had Ryan Blaney on the show a couple weeks ago, and he obviously got caught up in that recent Daytona 500 massive wreck. When you're a driver and you see that happen, what's your reaction? Are you kind of goose-tailing it and like, oh, thank God I didn't get into that situation? What kind of is going through your head not being part of it?
Well, I think that I looked at the first one and I was like, wow, well, this was easy. I mean, half the competitive cars took themselves out on lap 12. So I'm looking around and I'm thinking, wow, my odds of winning this race have just now gone up pretty heavy. You know, I've got, you know, probably 12 fast competitive cars that we're going to have to race in this thing. You know, anytime the pack gets double file, I feel like I can get to the front. As long as there's air that's being disturbed, I can find my way to the front. But, you know, when they ran the single file line there at the end, it certainly made it a lot more difficult to do anything. But yeah, it's just, I look at it and I say, you know, fortunately I wasn't in it. Hopefully I'm not in the next one that happens. But, you know, that race was pretty tame after that first a big pileup that took out a lot of cars. I think it made some people apprehensive, and really with less cars being competitive on the racetrack, we didn't see as many crazy bold moves until the very end of the race.
Denny, Mike Joy from Fox Sports recently tweeted that NASCAR is kind of full of racers who've gotten a big leg up due to legacy, and they feel like they're owed something because of it. Obviously, there are data points that you can use for both arguments, but what is your take on the barrier to entry in the sport if you weren't born into it?
It's hard. It's just a very hard sport. It's so different than other sports where you just can't buy a set of shoulder pads and helmets and cleats, and your talent's going to take you the rest of the way. You can't just buy a set of golf clubs and you go out and win every tournament. That guarantees you're going to make it onto the PGA Tour. Racing isn't it like that. You can win every race, and there's no guarantee you're going to move any further than where you're at that point. There's no real recruiting process. There's no scholarships. It just takes dollars. And so you have to, it's a balance, because the financial business side of this, of racing, is not good for the team owners. And so what they have to do is they have to try to find a way to survive. And sometimes to try to find a way to survive, they have to take on a driver who brings money with them, because that allows them to keep going. Otherwise they shut down. So it's a tough business. And until that changes, until these race teams have enough money to sustain and compete on their own without sponsorship, you will continue to have the same argument 20 years from now. Until the teams are able to hire whatever best driver is available, not which one brings the most money, you're going to have the same argument 20 years from now.
Yeah, in sports like basketball and soccer, all you need is a ball and a net. Do you think there are steps that NASCAR can take to make the sport more accessible and hence kind of grow the audience?
There are. I don't know that really I can discuss them because I'm on the ownership side now as well as the driver side, but there are some steps that NASCAR could take to help the teams out and fix some of the issue for sure. But also these teams are in a competitive business and they're going to do whatever it takes. And if you give them, if they have $5 and if you give them $8, they're going to spend $8 to win. So it's how can you get these teams to police themselves and to not overspend, to stop essentially killing themselves off to try to win. That's going to be a tough thing to police. Other sports have salary caps. NASCAR does not. I think it's a good thing that it doesn't, but it's certainly the healthier the teams are, the more that they can spend to go get that star driver that's going to make them a race winner. And the more the common the cars get, the more the driver is going to matter. So everyone's going to be going after the same person, and that essentially drives up the value of that guy. So it's just kind of a domino effect that happens, all starting around the race teams being healthy.
Hollywood loves you guys, Denny. Kevin James just released his show, The Crew, on Netflix. Obviously, the legendary movies like Talladega Nights, Days of Thunder. There have been just some incredible racing movies. If you got to make a movie and work with one specific actor or actress in that movie, who do you want to work with?
Denzel Washington. Not that I know what role he'd play or anything like that, but he is my rock star of movie guys. I've never watched a bad Denzel movie. So I would love, he'd be the one person, honestly, that I would geek out over meeting.
Training Day just came out on Netflix and I watched it again. I just remember how
awesome. Yeah.
Incredible.
That's literally what I was thinking. I would love to take the Training Day character and bring him into NASCAR. Yeah. That would just be pure gold.
Yes. 100%.
Our people will talk to your people, Denny.
Yeah.
Denny, I want to talk a little bit about the iRacing series craze that set esports viewing records on Fox. You were a big part in orchestrating that and fully committed with that $40,000 simulator. How closely does that mirror an actual race, and why were you racing barefoot?
Yeah, I mean, I do. Well, first, the barefoot thing, I do it just for feel. I think if heat weren't an issue, most drivers would race, barefoot or with socks on, simply because you can feel the pedal quite a bit better. Yeah, that's why I do that at home. But it was a big undertaking to get all the drivers to commit to going out there and doing iRacing. I think we're gonna have 10 races or something like that this year again. So it's going to be crazy to see how it all plays out. But yeah, it's going to be a big part of our schedule and show now. Is since we're not at the racetrack full time, we're going to be doing iRaces on Friday nights or Saturday nights. So I think it starts in just a couple of weeks. I've not been on my simulator at all since last year's races. So I got to get some warm up and figure out how to get back to victory in those things. I won a couple of them last year, but I feel like I was more prepared than what I am right now.
Didn't your daughter turn off the simulator at one point or something?
She did. Yeah, she had a remote. She was playing a stop pause game, basically. You know, people were wondering, well, why does she have a remote? Well, she found one in the kitchen junk drawer, and everyone's got a junk drawer. And I don't even know that I didn't. First of all, there's a 20% chance it has batteries in it, and there's only another 10% chance that the batteries are actually good or charged. But she just kept playing a game with everyone, saying, if you hit pause, then you have to stop. If she hits mute, you have to stop talking. If she hits the power button, you have to disappear. And so she was just carrying around this remote all day. And of course, my monitors were Samsung monitors, and she had a Samsung universal remote. She hit the power, and it turned them all off.
We spoke with Ryan Blaney, and he shocked me. He said he's never peed his suit mid-race. I didn't believe him. But can you confirm or deny that this is an epidemic in NASCAR, soiling yourself mid-race?
Yeah, I never have. I've never done it, but I might know a few people that have.
Bubba admitted that, I think.
Yeah, it happens. It's part of what we do, and the challenges of what we do is hydration. So we have to try to pound all the water that we can in a very short amount of time, and we try to prepare, even days ahead of time for how hot it's going to be in the race car. So of course, anytime you drink a lot, you're going to have to use the bathroom quite a bit, and so it's a balancing act of when to get in the car after you've gone, and or can you hold it another 3 or 4 hours.
You've had an unbelievable career so far, Denny, but you have not been able to put champion next to your name yet. When you eventually do, what's that celebration going to look like? Do you have it mapped out in your head?
I don't. I like to be a day by day person, where like I deal with every day, and what we accomplished. Whether it be a race win or I never think about what it would be like to win X. Whatever it might be. I just live in that moment and see how it all plays out. But certainly it will be a big celebration, knowing how long it's been coming.
You mentioned that you had a relationship with the Jordan brand for over a decade. What does your shoe collection look like? And do you have a favorite pair or pairs of Jordans?
I mean, my favorite pair are the Dior's, the Dior ones. My second favorite would probably be the Travis Scott ones. But I mean, I have a lot of them. Part of the great perks of being with those guys is they send you one of everything that they make. So again, every month it's just boxes and boxes that I got to go through, and of apparel and shoes and everything that you can imagine that they make, they send one of. So you get a lot of different stuff that you get to go through, but a lot of it, I give to my friends, because I handpick a few things here and there. And I can only keep so much stuff in the closet. So one thing I wish I would have done early in my life was keep all the shoes, even that I didn't want to keep, because I didn't know either what they were worth or the value or anything, is I just gave them to friends. And I wish I would just kept them all in a warehouse and say, one day go back and look at this tremendous collection of shoes to figure out and let my kids go through them and see what all we got.
Denny, can I chat you my address? Because I'd like to be friends so you can send me some Jordan stuff.
Give me the key to that storage bin.
Yeah, right.
Do you have like a collection set up? I know people who do collect sneakers, they have like the trophy wall. What's yours look like?
It's just a lot of, different, designer ones or athletic ones that I keep. My shoe rack probably holds 150 pair, somewhere in that range. So it's full, and there's still stuff on the floor. So, it's just one of those things where I can't keep up with, the production in which they have, and I have a tough time letting some stuff go.
Denny, here on Endless Hustle, our mission is to discover how athletes at the top of their profession continue to elevate. How has your partnership with Jordan and Wallace helped you continue to evolve your mindset both on and off the track?
It's a new challenge for me. I mean, racing is as much of a challenge as it is. I feel like there's not one week I can't go and win. There's every Sunday is a new opportunity to go win. It used to be that, hey, this type of racetrack I can't win at. I'm not good enough at this one or that one. I feel like we're beyond that now, and now this is my new blue sky of where can we take this team? How can we get it better? How can we grow it? And where are we going to take this thing into the future? So that's my passion project. Even though it is a business, it's still my passion project of what I want to do with it in the future, and ultimately building this thing up into a race winning, championship contending team is not going to be easy. But I'm going to enjoy the challenge, and I surely won't make any shortcuts when it comes to doing it. And hopefully we can get it to the level that I want to see it at in the next few years.
Obviously, working with Jordan, arguably the greatest winner in the history of sports, you've got to be able to take away some nuggets. Has there been one piece of advice that he's given you, Denny, that really resonates with you about winning and being the best that you can be?
Well, I think a lot of the discussions I have with him on any given week is just staying focused on what I can control. And a lot of the things in our sport you can't control, whether it be pit stops or race strategy, caution flags, like you can't control those things. So it's just constantly focusing on making sure you're doing your job to the best of your ability. Beyond that, it's let the chips fall where they may. So don't get caught up too much in the things you can't control.
I want to also ask you about a guy named LaMelo Ball. I know you're a big basketball fan. That's another one of Jordan's guys. How amazing has it been to see what Melo's been doing in Charlotte?
Phenomenal. I mean, 19 years old, it's just amazing to see the athletic ability. And I find myself when I watch their games, really just watching him. And when he gets the ball, it's like, oh man, what's he going to do? Like what crazy spin move is he going to make or pass? It's, he's a resonating person that draws your eye. So Charlotte has really needed someone like that for a very long time. Kimbo was kind of that guy for many, many years, but ultimately you still, they're still a young team that is learning, but I think they're really doing a great job of winning right now with a lot of young guys, and looking forward to seeing where that franchise goes.
Do you ever try to get crossover? So for instance, could you go to MJ and be like, hey, can we get LaMelo into a NASCAR car or someone that you admire to get him on the racetrack and see how they could do behind the wheel?
My guess is they wouldn't do that well. It's just not that easy. Trust me, there's more chance of me hitting a 3-point shot that a pro could not than them coming on a racetrack and running a faster lap time than us. That it's a 0% chance of that. So I always said that our sport is the hardest to cross over to and be competitive at. It's just too difficult.
Denny, do you have in your contract a no basketball? I know you're in a league, but you have 2 torn ACLs to prove it. I know Jordan had the for the love of the game clause that he could play basketball anytime, anywhere. Are you allowed to play pickup, considering the injuries you've had?
I am. I think it's one of those things Joe prefers not to ask, but if you asked him, he would prefer I didn't. But he knows that it's my way to unwind and exercise. So, he understands that. Look, you're the one taking the risk. As long as you're here on Sunday performing in that race car, you can get hurt all you want. Just don't hurt the team.
I want to know what your game looks like. By the way, both of us are basketball players. Both of us played in high school and I played in college. So I want to know what Denny Hamlin's game looks like on the court.
Well, it wouldn't look good to you guys. I can assure you that, because I wouldn't have made any team growing up. I realized pretty quick that I was not good at basketball. I'm just barely good enough now to get drafted in my own league. So not good. So I mean, I've gotten better. I've certainly gotten better. I hate being terrible at anything, so I work really hard at it if I am terrible. But I've moved myself from like a 4th, 5th rounder to like a 2nd rounder in the draft. But I've reached my peak considering my age versus talent.
I heard Blaney was pretty good.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's what, 20 something. So of course, He's playing against a bunch of 40-year-olds, so he should be good. But no, he's just more agile, got more speed, faster side to side. That, typically that's what you got when you got good knees.
I would just be calling in favors if I was Denny. I'd be like, guys, I'm Denny Hamlin, first round pick, guys. Come on.
I don't want to do that because I know I'm going to be hurting my own team. I'm not a number one guy.
Thanks for coming on the show, Denny. Congrats on everything you're doing. Everything you guys have done with Jordan and Bubba is just revolutionary and awesome. And congrats on the run towards the championship, man. You're awesome.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thanks so much, man.